David Diamond said 9 points this week, and we all laughed at him. Here we are, 9 points later. It was Ipswich 4, Blackburn 3, and the season that keeps giving to the most boring podcast in the history of podcasts. We've won again. Welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. Right, this is just getting ridiculous now. Absolutely ridiculous. I love it, but it's ridiculous. Joe, we just done the maths, you and I. If we are somewhere between Birmingham and Millwall for the rest of the season, 1.4342 points per game, 11.5, we'll get 75 points.
We're just building
it's ridiculous.
Such a bank of points here, aren't we? That almost. I'm not saying you can't fail to get in the players from here, because obviously you can.
You need bottom half form now, Joe.
We're almost is it like 10 points ahead of 7th at the moment? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, Jeff.
You're looking at 1.2 points per game over the next 38 to land kind of probably early 70s or low 60s, Dave. I mean, I was going to say this is the best week, but it's not, because there was that Peterborough, Barnsley and Exeter week.
Yeah, that
is just bloody brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, that probably was the week to end all weeks, that week at the end of last season. But yeah, another really impressive week, isn't it? And it's just the belief in the team. It's the squad belief, isn't it? And the whole belief around the ground as well. I mean, yesterday we'll get to a bit. I even thought that even when it did go back to 3-3, I didn't really feel much edginess around the ground for once, where, let's face it, in previous seasons, it would have been really, really, really tetchy. But certainly where I sat, I didn't get any of that, and I certainly would have done in previous seasons. It's just the whole belief around the club at the moment is just, and that can take you anywhere, mate, and hopefully it will.
Unbelievable. So I think we did this stat. I fell over it in my vlog after the Southampton game, Joe. I think it's 20 wins in 23 EFL games. Someone in the live chat.
It was 19 in 22.
Is it 19? I think it was 19 in 22 on Tuesday,
now
wasn't
it's
it?
20 in 23.
I think it's 20 in 20. Someone in the live chat. Anyway, welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. Yeah, where we've spent the first 2 minutes 45 trying to get our heads around how our football team has basically now been winning for seven months. And I keep harking back. Please, someone go and listen to that post Bristol Rovers podcast, Valentine's Day sob fest, because it's just been incredible. Thank you everybody in the chat and joining us live here. We love you all. Get your comments and we'll read as many as we can. We'll go to Q&A after we've gone through yet another win. Thank you to all the old school audio people. We do appreciate you too. You can do like a 5-star review thing if you so desire on the podcast app of your choice. Before we get to Ipswich 4, Blackburn 3. We got some good news which we released on the preview show. Dave, it's Blue Monday Live, and joining us will be... That's right. If you're watching on YouTube, Dave, Luke Chambers will be joining us live.
I think we're all really chuffed with that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. A superb captain, a superb clubman. Probably felt as though he's perhaps got some unfinished business with how he left. But just absolutely great to have him on board. And as Joe said, still very much supports the club. I know he still has the the academy lads. I think they're he's got in lodgings round his place. I know that he's done that for a good number of years now. So really looking forward to that.
It's going to be amazing, Joe. This is the Preston game, which could be very high stakes at this point. We might be promoted by then, I guess. But so this is October the 7th. Join us post-match. Luke Chambers will be at the game, so he'll be able to give his thoughts on the game. He's going to give us his thoughts on his career, and we will open it up via a hashtag, which will be exclusive to the guys at the podcast, although at the live show, although I'm sure Ipswich Town Twitter will get wind of it and people will start hijacking it when they know Luke Chambers is there. But you can ask him your questions. He'll even take a photo with you, Joe. What a get for the live show.
Oh, definitely. There's not many people that you could get from that era that will cover such a wide range in topics, and he's such a good speaker, and he's someone that will sort of maybe give you a bit of the lowdown of what was going on behind the scenes, because you're not going to get anyone from the current team because they're too invested in it. So McKenna is. So you've got somebody that covers a wide range of eras before him, some good times, some bad times, the sort of Evans ownership, and I'm sure he'll be open and honest as he always is there. So it'll be a good night for everyone there. But no, I can't think of any better guests from the sort of this era of the club.
So we got a big thank you to the Ipswich Town Foundation people for sorting that out, because we couldn't have got him on our own. It's frankly Mr. Matt Holland and Simon Milton. So huge thanks to those. And look, you would have got to see David Diamond anyway, but now you get to see David Diamond and Luke Chambers. And if you haven't realised how excited I am tonight, I'm that excited. We're going to do a special promo. If you go to Eventbrite now, the next 10 people to buy a ticket will get their ticket for half price if you type in the promo code Massimo. So go to Eventbrite now, type in promo code Massimo. That only went live at 8 p.m. and the next 10 people will get a half price ticket to an event where you can get your question and hear about the career and thoughts on the Preston game of Ipswich Town's former captain, record-setting captain, Luke Chambers. We are so chuffed about that. Do get involved. And if I hit this button, you have to be super clever here on YouTube. I'll leave that up for a second. Covering David Diamond's face is a lovely QR code, which will take you straight over to the Eventbrite website. Enter promo code Massimo, which Joe will sing to you at some point during the show, and the Voulez-Vous riff from ABBA. And get involved. We'd love to see you October the 7th at Blue Monday Live. Dave, the second 4-3 of the season in the 7th win. And I guess it's back to the A team. And I want to get your take on this team and also the bravery. I need you to give me the context of what Kieran McKenna did on Tuesday night with the 4 changes. Again, I've been whittering on about it all week. The fact that Walton, Broadhead, Davis and Luongo did not start the game at Southampton, and they're just absolute cornerstones of the team that got Ipswich Town promoted. But if I share the screen properly, there you go. I'm too giddy today, aren't I? We are back. Hladky in goal, Clark, Wolfen and Burgess, and the return, surprise to me, of one Leif Davis. Morsey and Luongo reunited in central midfield. Nathan Broadhead back in down the left-hand side. Chaplin, Burns and Hurst. Don't just talk to me about that team, Dave. Talk to me about how he's played the last 2 games in the 3-game week.
Yeah, fantastically well. I think we spoke this time last week about what he may or may not do against, team he might or may not pick against Southampton. There has been a lot of speculation, but certainly in our Telegram group, that perhaps the time would have been right for Taylor to come in for Luongo, which he did, and played okay. I don't think he was perhaps one of our better performers on the night at Southampton, but played okay. But Hutchison in. Who, certainly obviously made an impression the other night, scored the goal, and it just says a lot about about the coach. How he then went really horses for courses yesterday. Obviously Davis was fit, and looking at that team yesterday, the first 11, that's probably our starting 11, albeit Walton for Hladky at some point.
What's your take, Joe? Do you think this was all planned out before the week started, and this was always going to be the team, or were we a bit dependent on and particularly Davis's fitness.
Yeah,
I guess we were dependent on Davis's fitness, but other than that, I'd imagine it was a planned rest for. We know sort of Broadhead hasn't had the best injury record over his career, and maybe he is a player that needs to be managed a little bit more. Luongo is obviously sort of the wrong side of 30, played a lot of games, and it gives you a chance to try and get Taylor in for a game. Plus, it did feel like there was going to be an impending suspension coming for Sam Morsey when he was on 4 bookings, and that is now here. So it's good to have got him a league game under his belt. But like everything else McKenna does at the moment, he seems to just get it right, doesn't he? Everything he touches sort of turns to goal, doesn't it, at the moment? Every substitution he makes, every time he drops players or rests players, everything he does, the player that comes in always works out.
He's going to get something wrong at some point. We just got to ride the wave, Dave.
Yeah, it's how we there will be a dip. There has to be. I mean, all right, no sign of it at the moment, but there will be a dip, and it's how it'll be interesting to see how we how we cope with that, because we really haven't had one of those for when probably the fogged off game, what should have been the fogged off game at Oxford, for goodness sake. So yeah, it's how we cope with it when it comes, and it look, in this division it will come, but yeah, just ride it out. Just ride it out till it does, because it's just absolutely
great point
brilliant.
By Gord in the chat. Says it's crazy that our best 11 is it's the team that we're playing in League One. So that says a lot for the recruitment and the building of the pattern of play down there in League One. Let's have a look at a pretty tidy Blackburn team when we talk about some of these goals during this game. Ainsley Pears in goal. Callum Britton, who we saw, might have been at Barnsley at the same time as Connor Chaplin. Someone check that for me in the chat. Oh, no, maybe you missed him from MK. Forget that. Carter, Hyam, Pickering across the back. Travis and the very highly rated Wharton in central midfield. Moran, Smodic, he loves playing against us. Sigurdsson on his debut. And Sam Parkin's player to watch on the excellent Championship Check-In podcast on week 2 of the season, Harry Leonard, up top. Let's get into this, because the goals are going to start flowing pretty quickly. We're going to just say a huge thank you to, is that Brian spelt incorrectly or Brian? Excuse me if I've offended him, but it's a £5 super chat, so he can spell it however he likes. And thank you so much. Joe, this is down your end in the old Kushti corporate prawn. I was going to say prawn cracker seats then. They're very much not prawn cracker seats. They are prawn sandwich seats. But Joe, talk me through Harry Clark's opening goal. And say thank you to Brian or Brian. Yeah,
thanks again to Brian. So it's great to have people coming in here and sort of donating for what we're doing here. But I say not that we expect it at all, but it's always good to see. But we'd started the game really, really quickly as well. Within sort of a minute or two, we had a corner within about the first 20 seconds where we'd sort of started brightly. Then sort of a lovely little bit of move, and it ended with Leif Davis having a shot, which the keeper pushed behind for another corner. And I think this was the third corner we'd had. And it was just, like I said, ball came over, sort of half cleared, and Chaplin looked like he had a chance to get a shot away. And shot was blocked, and it fell to Harry Clark, who just sorted his feet out so quickly. And just, well, like I say, just from the very edge of the box, just really struck through the ball. And whilst the keeper probably does see it late, it sort of passed him before he can see it as well. And like I say, I was, for all these goals in the first half, I was right behind that one. And as soon as he struck it, you could see where it was going. You could see it was going in. I don't think Harry realised himself, because after he scored, he almost looked in like a state of shock that had gone in, and then
that was the celebration, Joe, of a player who's not used to scoring, isn't it? He loved it, didn't he? Down in front of Dave, actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, brilliant celebration. You could see how much it meant to him, and there, but no, and he's looked like somebody who's going to score a goal for a long time, and maybe this season he hasn't got forward as much, but no, that was a great goal, and it sort of has capped off a really good week for him after he'd had some criticism sort of off the back of the Leeds game. I thought he was excellent at Southampton, and to get the goal yesterday and at Portman Road is probably a very special moment for him.
But Dave, Blackburn have got very, very good attacking numbers, create lots and lots of chances. And they were right back in it really quickly through Sigurdsson, and a really good bit of quality from Lewis Travis.
Oh, really good, really good. I mean, I think Leonard. I think it starts with Leonard receiving the ball fairly deep on the half turn in midfield, a lot of space, so they sort of kind of break the first press, and he he turns, gives it to Travers. I think Travers then sprays it out to Sigurdsson. And Sigurdsson's coming off the line left. So yeah, drops his shoulder, carries it to the edge of the box, and I think picks out Travers again. You'll see him. He then a sort of reverse pass to Travers, and then it's a really clever goal. I mean, if you look at the still there, I would say our defenders are in a pretty good position there, but it's the quality of the
turns
ball.
the wrong way though.
Yeah, okay,
probably,
probably does, but it's such a delicate, cute ball. He gets the ball absolutely right, Travers, and it's almost that Sigurdsson has just crept in the blind side between Burns and Clark, and composed finish. You know, can't blame the keeper there from about 5 yards. Criticism, a bit too easy to play through, but Blackburn were playing some nice stuff, really, really nice stuff. Some good technical players. You mentioned Wharton, my kind of player. I love seeing that sort of player, all left foot, quite upright. Got loads of vision stuff. He wasn't involved in that goal, but maybe Clark got caught a bit ball watching there, perhaps. But super move, lovely goal.
Lovely goal. Joe, if you're Blackburn goalkeeper Ainsley Pears and you're playing a game of worst case scenario here when you shank a kick out, I felt a bit sorry for him for this goal because it's a horrible kick, but Chaplin less so, but Broadhead just unbelievable from Chaplin's little hook back. Talk about this goal to put us back into the lead.
Well, yeah, it's a ball for. I can't remember who plays the ball. I think it's Harry Clark plays the ball for, isn't it? For Hurst. And it's a really good ball, and he looks like he's going to get there. I think Pears does well enough rushing out of it and gets there and clears it, but it sort of lands at Chaplin, and I almost thought he was going to try and shoot, but he doesn't. He just sort of hooks it back into a good area, and Broadhead sort of takes down his chest, takes another touch, and then sort of before the keeper's set, he hits it. And again, this is one. As soon as he hit that, you could, from anyone in the south stand, could see that was going in the goal because the keeper was just.
You're totally right, Joe. Anywhere near the corner, and it was just the keeper's not saving it, is he?
Yeah, and it he struck it well, but it's not like it was a Exocet missile. It was just a nice strike, wasn't it? But it was just in. He just, like I say, just takes it so early with not a huge amount of backlift, and I know it's just that half a second too early for the keeper to get his feet set to be able to dive, and it's past him and. We're back in front. Another excellent goal from a player who, yesterday, the amount of times he got in the ball in lovely positions.
It's just a technique for that goal again, Ben. The technique is it's a hard skill. I know Joe said he didn't hammer it in. That's even harder because he sort of almost cushions the half volley. It's such a difficult skill. For them it's not, but you know what I mean. It's a highly real technical goal, that brilliant goal. And if I think Joe had the point there because my lad said, I think Chaplin meant that. I think I meant that volley past Broadhead. I said, I'm not sure. I said, I think he's just as Joe said, putting it in a good area.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And just high quality finish. Yeah, keeper didn't cover himself. Keeper was backpedaling and perhaps off balance, but just a great finish.
We'll let Joe decide this. Neil's asking on the Clark goal, was it a Thunder Bastard? It's a no from me. He needs to lash that a little bit more. I need maybe a bit of contact with crossbar as well.
I think it's got enough lash on it, and it's also it also has the extra thing that it's still rising as it hits the net, which is always a good thing. But
it's got enough lash on it.
I think there was enough lash on it, but I don't think there was.
That's a Pogues album, Rum Sodomy and the Lash. That's a Pogues album.
But I don't think it's a Thunder B. Not quite.
Oh, that's tremendous.
No bar contact for me. No, sorry. Thought long and hard about that, but no woodwork contact. So no.
Oh dear. Right, I need to calm down. Veronica said, "Am I hyper tonight?" I'm so hyper with this 7 wins and 8. It's not even funny. What I'm hyper about as well, Dave, and I don't like this Schadenfreude fan banter, got one over on you point scoring stuff. But we did have some Blackburn fans telling us, George Hurst, he's rubbish, isn't he? He was terrible for us. And okay, we had that Kiefer Moore situation where we were like, yeah, he was terrible for us, and then he got brilliant afterwards. So we know that things can change, but this was a rather satisfying goal for George Hurst, wasn't it, Dave?
Well, a rather satisfying goal for George Hurst and a rather satisfying goal for Cameron Burgess, who suddenly becomes sort of somebody.
Dave, how did that ball catch out that entire defence?
It shouldn't have done really, but it was really weird because
I thought it was Arnold Muren at the back, Dave.
Well, no, absolutely, because Burgess kind of lands on the ball, doesn't he? And he clearly wants to play it in the midfield. Clearly wants to, but yeah, they're not really pressing, but they're pressing far enough that he's not a safe ball into midfield. And then he takes another look, and again he turns back, and then he thinks, "Oh well, I've just got to play it into an area." And it is a good ball because he plays it with a bit of curve there. He doesn't just lash it forward. He plays it with a bit of curve there, and you're right. It's not great defending, but a really well timed run from Hurst. Again, Pears doesn't cover himself in glory because he comes and then kind of stops, and he just dinks it under him. He certainly enjoyed that because he's right in the face of the Blackburn fans after that one, isn't he?
I hadn't heard him getting any stick from the Blackburn.
No, I hadn't actually.
So I was surprised he went that way. But he's probably, I don't know. You see footballers and you think they're not this and that, but when it's they probably look at social media, see a lot of stick they get, and bank that in their head as something that they want to get over, even if it's a sort of a vocal minority of fans in a fan base. It's not like it's not like they're booing every time he touched the ball and things like that. Was it on yesterday? But I say if that's what players need to drive them on with all, I don't know, you see the Last Dance of Michael Jordan, and every potential slight he takes is the reason not drives him on. And players need that.
It's like it's 3-point fodder, isn't it, with Michael Jordan? Yeah, we'll talk to 2-point, 3-point fodder, any slight. But great to see Hurst. Great to see your striker, your focal, your number 9 get his goal, isn't it?
I was in the home stand at Southampton, so at the end of the game, I was able to walk down and just take in the team, coming in front of the away end and the fist bump and everything. And Connor Chaplin and George Hurst had a lovely slow walk along the Southampton touchline there, having got a little bit of stick. Neil, €10 on the super chat. Thank you so much. Can't come to Blue Monday Live from Paris, unfortunately. Where's your commitment, Neil?
Come on, man.
From Paris now. He says, so hope this supports the event. Very, very kind. Cam Burgess, deep-lying playmaker, says Romeo in the chat. Yeah, lovely stuff. So half-time, what's your kind of summary, Dave, then? Just really as open as it sounded?
It was pretty open, but at 3, we should have mentioned just before half-time, Broadhead. My goodness me, there's a bit of interplay with first with Morsey. Immediately he's got a fair bit of space there. First with Morsey, and then with Hurst, and he just drops his shoulder, takes it inside, and curls it against the outside of the post. I think that would have brought
that looked in. That looked in.
All the way. That had just brought the house down if that had gone. It was ridiculous. But 3-1, and off the back of that chance, you think, okay. Fine.
Sorry, Dave, can I just interrupt you? I just got the numbers for the first half. They're quite absurd, actually. We had 14 shots in the first half and an XG of 1.35. We're going to talk about Blackburn's incredibly good finishing, but they're only 0.42 XG in the first half. So, sorry, continue, Dave.
Yeah, I think, and I can't remember really them being that threatening after we got. I mean, it's still quite early on, wasn't it? 25 minutes. Did we go 3-1 up? I can't recall Blackburn after our third goal between there and half-time really causing this much problem, and you think, maybe we've taken the sting, because they were playing some nice stuff at times, but maybe we'd taken the sting out of it. But fair play to Thomason at half-time. He made a couple of
switches, isn't he?
Yeah. Made a couple of switches, including taking off Sigurdsson. Not sure whether he had an injury or not.
He got booked, didn't he? He'd had the yellow.
To be fair, he got booked, so maybe that was an easy choice. I thought he looked
both players went off, had been booked in the first half.
Yeah. And who came on? Hedges, and who didn't last long actually. Hedges and Dolan came on, and they certainly made a difference.
Yeah. Into the second half, and here come Blackburn. And we've got the still up if you're watching on YouTube. I don't think there's a hell of a lot wrong. I think this is a brilliant cross by Callum Britton, Joe. What's your take?
I think the only issue I had from behind the goal, and I haven't really seen the proper replays of it, is that Hladky sort of doesn't do one or the other. So you either come for the ball and you clear him out, or you stay in your line and get your feet set. He sort of half comes. So when the ball does hit, I think when that was a Harry Clark own goal, when the ball does hit Clark, he isn't set to save it, and the ball just drifts past him. Where had he just said, right, I'm not going to come and get this, I'm going to get ready to try and save this, I think he'd have saved it. But he sort of puts himself in no man's land, really, I'd say, on that one.
Yeah,
it's a good cross, though, Dave, isn't it?
Yeah, it's another one of those. He puts it in a really good area. But Joe's right. I think I spoke to my lad about this earlier on and said, "Do you think, looking at it, because I look back at the goals for tonight, and I said, like he could do more there." And I said, I think he should come and clear them both out, because ultimately, when that goal goes in, it's probably 5 yards out. So he's totally down to him, because again, you've got to give props to the ball in. But yeah, I think Joe's right. He's a bit flat-footed there. Clark doesn't do too much wrong. He's just unlucky.
No, and the defensive line's not terrible.
No.
When you look at it, he's just dropped it in a nice place and come back complete. And this is a really good goal, isn't it, Dave? So I said Smodic loves playing against us, but this was absolutely brilliant.
It's a lovely move, though, Ben. It's a really nice move between the right side of player, Markandy, was it? Markandy,
right, one from Spurs, yeah.
Yeah. Who sort of tricks his way along the line, sort of gets the ball into Leonard, and it's really clever from Leonard. What you don't see there, he sort of like, as the ball comes to him, he's almost out of his stride, but he sort of shuffles it. It's kind of disguised sort of pass, shuffles it to Smodic. I mean, Williams is there. Is he touch tight, or can he be touch tight there? Because he is right on the edge of the box, and Smodic is a clever player.
He drops his shoulder the other way and then goes.
He's clever.
He
buys himself.
Yeah, I think the problem Williams is he has to protect that ball out.
He does.
That one more balls. But Smodic comes in so well, and I think you just have to back your keeper from that range. But
that's a brilliant finish.
But there's nothing lad can do. But I think as a defender, you just have to think like,
you do.
I've got to block this pass, because if it goes through to him, he'll definitely score, and he's got a lot of work to do there.
You're right.
Did that work brilliantly.
And as a defender, you can't legislate for the quality of that strike. Smodic is he's a wind-up merchant. Maybe that's obviously the Colchester thing and everything else. But I really like him as a player. I do like Smodic.
Yeah,
he's really got something about him. Obviously, can be a knob stuff, but he is. He's a good player. Yeah,
Joe. So Dave's already said at the top of the show that he felt not anxiety or this is done now. The momentum's swung the other way. How are you feeling at 3-3?
I think just frustrated, because we should have been more than 3-1 up at half time. That could have been 4 or even 5 at half time. And then we had that chance straight after the break where there's a good ball through, and sort of Hurst sort of rolls it back into Broadhead's path, and another good save. And it's just like, this game should be over. But Blackburn, I don't know, they were quite happy to turn the game into a basketball game, weren't they? Of just, you attack, we attack. And that second half, like the first half, I thought we were brilliant in the first half. Some of the best foot we've played in a long time. And the second half, we still attacked really well, but because they just left us spaces, they were happy to just leave Broadhead to pick the ball up on his own in loads of space and make things happen. But it was just like, we're just going to try and outscore you in this half. And I'd say that the game could have finished 7-3 yesterday, or 8-4. It was one of those games. It was just so open in that second half.
I tell you what, we should have said about that chance, because that was ridiculous, because we said about Broadhead's shot that hit the post at the end of the first half. Oh my word! If that goal at the start of the second half would have gone in when the keeper just saved it low down, the move for that was just mad, really, absolutely crazy. But yeah, it was, as Joe said. Joe's right. You kind of not anxious, but kind of frustrated, because and as the manager said afterwards, it could have been 6 or 7-3 that game. Really, really could have been. And not glaring misses as such, a bit of bad luck here and there.
But Joe, this team just wins. So we were 20 from 23 games, and we talked about muscle memory and momentum and things that people kind of poke fun at and sneer at, but they're just very real at the moment. And here comes Amari Hutchison and Massimo Luongo. By the way, promo code Massimo for the next 10 tickets for the Blue Monday live show on October the 7th for games. Preston, Luke Chambers will be there. But Joe, take me through this 7th.
Well, at this point, Amari Hutchison had come on, and he looked really sharp, really bright, and
done in the world of good, that Southampton game, hasn't it?
Yeah, and he's just, I don't know, he's looking like we've got a real high quality loan player on our hands now for the next few months this season. And I'd say he just does really well, keeps the ball in the box, sort of manages to drive right in the box, but nothing quite opens up for him. So he then sort of drops the ball back to Harness, who sort of just floats across into a dangerous area, which Pears can only punch away. Drops to Luongo, who just takes a touch, and it looked more sort of like a scuffed shot at first, and it's sort of like, first time I saw it, but when you see it back, I think it's like I say, he's sort of like almost like pushes it into that top corner, doesn't he? And it's a brilliant finish. Keeps got absolutely no chance, and it's just a big player coming up with another big moment, which he's done a few times. Old Massimo for us since he signed, and he was the 4th of the January. We made 4 January signings, which
great tweet. Yeah, so
talk about that. Joe. Yeah, so we've had all this talk about how that was the best transfer window in history. Those 4, they came in and they all made a massive impact into
better than Vidic and Every,
yeah, for the season that it was, because they took a while to settle, but they literally just came and all hit the ground running and just drove us over the line. And with those 4 in the team, with, like I say, this run of 20 wins for 23 games basically features all 4 of those players in all the wins, and they've come in, and the 4 goal scorers yesterday in the reverse order of when they signed.
Wow,
was
I don't know how the club admin got hold of that, but if someone gave that to them, that is a great tweet that they
something like the renegade stat man would have picked up on.
Yeah, quite
sure. Stat would have done.
Today he noted that it's the first time we've had 2 Ipswich-born goal scorers in the squad since Jason Dezelle and Kieran Dyer in 97-98. So with Harry Clark,
keeping them apart in 97-98.
There's another one,
couldn't we?
first time ever that the first 4 home games have averaged over 28,000 as well. There was another one. Do you know what about momentum and stuff? And again, something when I haven't seen Luongo's goal back last night. How momentum and small margins in seasons and players. Panucci camera against Cheltenham, identical position, last kick of the game, hits the inside of the post, goes out. I mean,
that was a live show that night, wasn't it?
I know it was, but it's exactly the same, isn't it? He was in exactly the same position. I think it's pretty much the same. I think he takes it down and sort of slices it away from the keeper. So small margins, but again, the technique for that goal was fantastic. But my God, what a game he had yesterday. And Morsey again was on a level, but Luongo he just amazes me. He's just a fantastic player at that level.
Let's start wrapping this up now, because we've gone over half hour. Probably just me shouting stuff and being hyper for the whole show. Let's just have a look at the numbers. You're going to love this XG, Dave. 3.03 plays 0.92. So fair play to Blackburn. Their final ball and their finishing was absolutely on point yesterday. Ipswich Town, 29 shots in the game. Absolutely brilliant. Only 40% possession, actually. So, Dave, I know it, and I can't believe I'm saying this given how depressing it was doing these podcasts sometimes. Well, it's getting boring, but can you try and summarise?
Well, it's getting boring. I think you could safely say that Portman Road is the place to be for entertainment. That's 19 goals scored in the last 3 home league games. I mean, it's just.
Can I give a counterpoint to that, Dave? I know I said I was about to shut up, but I'm not, because our good friend Chris has given me this. Our defending is actually bad when you look at the goals against. And the last time we let 9 goals in 3 straight home games was a Paul Cook special, MK 2-2, Wimbledon 2-2, and Bolton 5-2. And before that, you're going back to 2011. And I don't want to mention this game, but I'm going to. Borough 3-3, Norwich, and Preston 2-1. So maybe parlay that into your answer in terms of the goals against. But I think when you think about the game state of, obviously there's 7 goals gone in against with Leeds and with Blackburn, it doesn't really bother me.
Not really. Not really. You know, we'll score more goals. You know, 1 more than you, sort of thing. But when I think back at those goals, I mean, the Leeds goals, we all said they're all pretty much fantastic goals, weren't they? Cardiff, we spoke about the Ramsey goal, absolutely brilliant finish. And honestly, other than that second goal yesterday, they were good goals as well. Really. So I don't think necessarily we're letting in soft goals, but as you quite rightly said, who cares when? And well, other than the Leeds game, when we're we're coming out on top of these games, and it's really quite odd that we've conceded all these goals at home, yet away we've only conceded 1 in.
And
4.
Dave as well. Can I come in again? I think at the end of the season we're going to look back, and all the teams that play open against Leeds are going to concede goals like that, because their front four's better than everybody else.
It showed again. I mean, show they're playing fairly high quality team yesterday. Well, so what we would say would be a certainly competitive. We'll get onto a competitive team yesterday and turned them over royally, didn't they? But I mean, it's just you just can't wait for those Saturdays at Portman Road to come round, because you just know what you're going to get. It's absolutely brilliant.
Joe?
Yeah, and it's just, well, how long can it continue? I think Neil's made the point on there, sort of away from home, we're sort of 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, and at home it's 3-4, 3-2, 3-3, and it's just why is that happening? We don't know. But I thought in that first half yesterday we were just totally running over Blackburn, like the way we were running over like Forest Green and Morecambe last year in that run at the end of the season. They just could not live with us at all in an attacking sense.
Blackburn in the top 6 most of last season.
And the only difference is that they do have the quality. So when they catch you on the break, they can score, and that was the difference. But like I say, it was incredible how we just went over them. And you look in the Championship and you look around at the teams that are sort of expect to do well at the top of the league this year, that have spent some big money and stuff, and you think, really, like, we're better than a lot of these teams, aren't we? But you've got the problem, you've got the parachute, you've got Leeds who are sort of coming up there now, you've got Leicester, you've got... I'm
changing my mind on Leicester now. I'm seeing high 80s, or I'm starting to get convinced by them now, Joe.
The only I just, whenever I've watched them, they haven't looked very good. Even against Southampton, where they won 4-1, I thought they were quite poor that night. Just Southampton were so worse. But they are going to get better, and they've managed to win 7 out of 8 games whilst looking poor. So when we're talking, we only need to do 1.4 points per game to get to 75, they're having those same conversations, and it's almost like as things get better, they should click and they should sort of.
And they signed
move on from there.
England and they've already won for 7 million quid, and England centre midfielder for 10 million quid. They've got Jamie Vardy and Dewsbury Hall, and all of that stuff, Joe.
Yeah, they look. Sorry, Joe. Go on.
Yeah, no, they are good, and like I say, you expect them to improve, don't you? And they're improving from a base. It's not like if Russell Martin can get Southampton to improve, and they've got 10 points from 8 games, they've got 21 points from 8 games to improve from. So they're not playing catch up at all. Even like Daniel Farke's lead side, they're still playing catch up currently, aren't they? But Leicester are not.
They and apparently I know they only won with a penalty yesterday, but by all accounts they absolutely dominated that game, I think.
Well, shall we get into it? I've just got the table up there. This absurd start, and
green.
It's ludicrous, isn't it? Well, we're the number 1 winning streak now, aren't we? With no one can match our 4 wins in a row and a 9-point week. I believe in the Championship, the last time we did that was one of Mick's super fast starts. Barnsley, Millwall, Brentford, 20.
Oh yes,
and
15.
No, 2017,
18. Yeah, 17.
And I dare say our XG, no offense, Mick, was slightly different in the 3 games we've won this week. So I remember a couple of quite lucky wins. Actually, all 3 of them that week: Barnsley, Millwall, and
I remember.
Spence against Millwall. Right. Look, let's move on. We'll get into the little roundup of the Championship results, and then we will get into your questions. But let me just bang through the scores, and the boys will have their say. Loads of good questions have come in already. If you fancy copying and pasting them and putting them back in when we go to Q&A, that would help me out grandly. And if you're watching live on YouTube at the moment, please do hit the thumbs up button. Helps us lovely. Friday night, bit of a bore draw, Birmingham QPR. Can I just reiterate, if we are Birmingham for the rest of the season, we will get into the playoffs. That is the hill I'm prepared to die on now. Leeds 3, Watford 0. We just mentioned them, but they are getting into gear. Farke plus year 1 parachute payment equals 90 points, probably. Leicester 1, Bristol City 0. Joe's just mentioned that. Middlesbrough 2, Southampton 1. Southampton are rubbish. And it was Plymouth 6. Need your other hand, Joe.
Oh.
Plymouth 6. Hang on, let me see if I can get any higher. Plymouth 6.
In brackets, SIX, close bracket.
Teleprinter 6, SIX, yeah.
Plymouth 6. Norwich 2. I always loved Plymouth. I loved them all of last season when they were beating us to the title, though. What a result that is. God. Rotherham 1, Preston 1. Preston aren't top anymore. Swansea 3, Sheffield Wednesday 0. Another of our League One compadres from last season. West Brom 0, Millwall 0. We all could have predicted that before the game. Rowett and Corberon. Stoke 1, Hull 3. Someone might want to pick up on that, being October 3rd. We are playing Hull down at Portman Road. They're looking good. What a week for Cardiff. 9 points as well. And they've gone to Sunderland and maybe smashed and grabbed it. Dave, don't make me scream it again. What do you want to talk about there?
Yeah, I think the West Brom Millwall 0-0 was, as you say, fairly predictable. I mean, no, that was kind of low because we're looking at the scores and someone said, Norwich are 2-0 down. Oh, hang on, it's 3. And then just on half time, actually it's 4. And then sort of came back after half time. Oh, it's 5 now. Yeah. I mean, whatever happened because they got Plymouth got royally turned over at Bristol City and were really poor by all accounts. I mean, I think some changes were made for that particular game.
7.
But yeah, so yeah, I thought so. Yeah, and right back. I mean, obviously Whittaker was at it. I think he scored his first ever hat trick. We know how highly rated he was in League One for a time last year. But I think in deference to our rivals up the road, I think they're certainly suffering with some injuries as well. Certainly,
they've been unlucky, haven't they? Barnes has done his knee ligaments now, haven't
they? Yeah, really. Yeah, I think so. To be fair, but however, let's enjoy it whilst it kind of lasts. Yeah, a proper left field result that one. Just quickly, yeah. Preston obviously dropping points, which enabled us to go second. They've got a really interesting week coming up. So that week of our live show, when we play Preston at home on the Saturday, the midweek before, they've got Leicester away. Yeah,
nice couple of easy games for those.
That will be a fair marker of where they are for sure.
Anything standing out for you this week, Joe?
There's one thing, but just quickly, in the Norwich-Plymouth game, Onel Hernandez, who's just an absolute knob, he does these stupid TikTok videos about like Ipswich, stuff like that. But when
Barley Mumba,
at 5-1, Barley Mumba gives away a penalty, and at 5-1 down, he runs over to Mumba and gives him like some stick in his face and like slaps him on the face. And it's like, come on, mate, know your place, you absolute knobber there. But the other Leeds, I think Leeds 3-0.
This
Watford.
Guy is not coming on in the local derby. He's very quick.
Oh, can you imagine it?
Oh,
don't. Leeds 3, Watford 0. That's a sign that they are well and truly back, because Watford have looked decent under Ishmael, I think. But no, he is. They are on their way, aren't they?
They're on their way. Guys, get involved now. Q&A time. Get your questions in. By the way, in the live chat, you can vote in the poll, which was today, with skipper Sam Morsey suspended for Huddersfield. Who would you like to see stand in for him? 8% say Cameron Humphreys. 15% say Don Bull. 19% say Lee Evans. Dave, 58% say Jack Taylor. Well, the live chat would like to see stand in for Sammy Morsey in Huddersfield. Get your questions in and we'll just get Dave's thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that would probably be my choice. I mean, you pay over $1.5 million apparently for him, so he has to step up sometimes. I mean, obviously, like we said right at the start, he started against Southampton, struggled a bit. Not a horrific game, struggled a bit, I felt, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see him in centre mid alongside Luongo. Obviously, he was alongside Morsey the other night, alongside Luongo. So yeah, I think if he starts, I'll be more than happy with that. He probably deserves his chance.
Paul, question for Ben. You've been talking about momentum from last season. Does this run deliver its own momentum now? Momentum squared. Yes, absolutely. Yes, 1,000 times yes. I was at Southampton on Tuesday and I think we're already seeing it, aren't we? Joe, Philip, I wonder how much more the Ipswich squad is now worth, great point, than it was at the start of the season. We talked about Broadhead and Davis particularly. Any other kind of left field assets that have increased in value, you think, Joe? Apart from Hladky? Quite dramatically.
I'd guess because you have to sort of look at the age of the player as well, don't you? Because obviously someone like Burgess has been excellent and big, tall, left-footed centre-half. There's not many of those about. But then he's 28 and he's probably not a player that's going to be primed for transfer. But obviously his centre-back partnership, Luke Wolfenden, is just stepping up to the Championship as well, isn't he? And so that young player, the one that still takes responsibility, sits on the ball there. But yeah, him, Davis, Nathan Broadhead, Broadhead's a funny one because he's sort of a lot older than you think he is because he hasn't played much football. But
Joe, he might get 10 goals.
He
and
is
10 assists.
every inch a championship player, isn't he?
Yeah,
and he's proved it at Sunderland in sort of when they were the sort of a good side of League One. At Wigan, here he is just superb, and obviously his going on the international scene, scoring a big goal there, and playing for Wales as well. It all helps with that. But no, he's the one, isn't he, at the moment?
Dave,
I think Chaplin. I think Chaplin as well.
The difficulty with Chaplin, Dave, if he's been in the division before. Do you know what I mean? Whereas a few others they're kind of like fresh goods. They're doing it for the first time. But I take it.
What I would say about Chaplin, if his effort against Sunderland and his effort against Southampton had gone in.
Oh yeah, guaranteed move in January.
Stratospheric, right.
Yeah. Dave, Paul, why was Clark substituted when Davis was showing signs of struggling?
Yeah, do you know what? I think they were having some. They were certainly having some joy down that side second half. I know that we didn't mention Laggy's save from Leonard's header when I think it was Picker in the fullback. As well, again, another really nice slick Blackburn move. Certainly got goal side of Clark with the crossing and great save from Laggy low down. So. Yeah, I think perhaps there was a bit of that. Maybe I know he's had this supposed long-standing Achilles injury, which certainly didn't look like it manifested itself again yesterday. But again, Williams came on. It was fairly early, wasn't it? Was that on the hour? I think maybe. Again, Williams came on and again did fine. So I don't think there's anything too much to read in that, other than probably just protecting him.
The amount of effort Clark put in on Tuesday night was unbelievable as well. The amount of running he did there, he might have only had an hour in him.
Left back and facing Kyle Walker-Peters as well.
Yeah, because we don't normally make changes that early at about an hour, do we? So it did almost feel, whilst maybe not pre-planned, but sort of an element of that. But I did think Davis was struggling. Him and Broadhead down that left-hand side looked really out of puff for a long time. And sort of the second and third goals all came down that left-hand side. And I think they were getting a lot of joy down there. And at the end of the game, Davis just collapsed into a heap on the floor, didn't he? Obviously, he was had given everything that game. But I don't know. It was one that I was thinking, oh, surely Davis, you want to get him off because he's struggling big time. But not to be.
Rich is asking Farke's touch. If you haven't seen that on social media, Leeds manager Daniel Farke, who it's now easier to like, isn't it? Let's just be honest. Pulls one out of the sky beautifully. I will raise it. Carlo Ancelotti did do one in a beautiful suit in the Bernabeu and a couple of kick-ups and then flip it back into the guy taking the...
When Glenn Hoddle was England manager, I once saw him catch one on his neck out of the sky.
Any questions about Wolves? We'll do in a minute. Does Ben have any chamomile tea? No. I'm going to No, let's move on. I'm over from NYC for the next 3 games and Blue Monday Live. Anyone fancy a beer? Yes, We will see you on the 7th. Steve. Yeah, that's a fair point. Joe. Luton, Burnley and Sheffield United in bottom 3 of the Premier League. Looking forward to promotion. Well, there is that, but you can only fight the battles you're in at the moment, can't you?
Yeah, there are sort of like Sheffield United just gave up almost before they got promoted. When you see their business, they sold their 2 best players for nothing because they didn't want to run a contract down. It's like, oh come on, you're in the Premier League now, just sort it. But no, their owners they've managed to find the only Saudi who hasn't struck oil to be their owner, and they just got no money. And Luton have clearly taken this as we're just going to go up,
get the money,
take the money, build the stadium, build the squad to be a strong championship team next year. And anything more than that would be a bit of a miracle, really, of how they've recruited. But no, I think we'd go up in a lot better shape than them.
Right, we're going to do 2 more questions, but they're the same questions, and I'll get both of your takes on this because I'm interested in this. Matt and Rando are basically asking about Hutchinson and Wes Burns and that kind of position and whether he's ready to go in. I think we're in a lovely position with that because you've got a player who's very steady and settled and has just improved loads, hasn't he? But if this guy is, worth the hype, in the end he'll play him out of the team, won't he?
I mean, he's a wild card. He's a proper wild card. He is supremely talented, Hutchinson, and he really showed it. Yesterday. I mean, he was just, at times, perhaps a little bit selfish at times. Joe, maybe yesterday, perhaps showed his inexperience a bit when perhaps he could have passed, but shot a bit. Not out of my completely down the other ends. I didn't quite see, but that was sort of consensus I got from one or two of my pals who were in the Sir Bobby stand, sort of saying that maybe he could have laid it off but shot instead. But again, that's just an example of his confidence. I mean, he is a scary sight, absolutely running at a fullback, because he's got the ability to go either way, left. I think predominantly left-footed, but he's got the ability to drop his shoulder and go right or left. We have got a little gem there. However, he's still very much, I say, a gem that perhaps still needs polishing, so to speak. So I still see Burns. Starting certainly for the next couple of games. I don't see why not if he's fit.
What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with a lot of what Dave has said there. But Burns has been such a sort of big player for us, such a big game player as well. He's always popped up with the sort of moments when you've needed them throughout his time here, and he still seems to be sort of roasting fullbacks in this league and doing well. So it's not like the step up has got to him. I say the only thing that probably plays against him at the moment is, in previous year, he's always been sort of almost at times like a right wing back and helped out quite a lot.
Two positions, doesn't he?
Yeah, helped out quite a lot defensively with it as well, which is obviously something that he's probably better suited to than Hutchison. But we seem to have gone away from that a little bit there, where Clark is sort of left to his own devices and just have to go one-on-one against people on that right-hand side. So whilst Burns isn't doing as much of that now, the role is probably turning into one that maybe will suit Hutchison more over the next few months of the season, but we'll see.
I think you're right there, Joe. I think Clark again, this is no knock against Danassian, who's been an absolutely fantastic, but he is just that upgrade physically, physically and probably all round athleticism. He is just that upgrade on Danassian. So I think Joe's right. Perhaps we have, he doesn't the manager doesn't feel that he needs that so much cover as we did in last season.
Brilliant stuff, guys. Thank you for all of your questions. We've got an extra space there, so we're going to bring in Richard, who's going to tell us a bit more about the live event and a little bit about a high-scoring win for the ladies today.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the pod, guys. It's really cracking, and thank you everyone for numbers are good as well. So thank you everyone for joining in. It's like this week's pod is brought to you by the number 6 and the word knobber, which I very much enjoyed, Joe.
Lash.
Haven't heard that for a while.
Lash.
Yeah, the women won 8-0 today, by the way. So I've seen 15 goals in Ipswich Town matches this week, which is pretty good. And Natasha Thomas got 4 of them. So yeah, women's team, if you want to see goals on a Sunday as well as a Saturday, then head down to the AGL. There's plenty going on there. But there's still a few of the Massimo promo tickets left, by the way, folks. So there's a link in the description if you're watching live on YouTube. So use the code Massimo at checkout and you get 50% off while stocks last. But you guys have mentioned Chambo. Really excited to hear from him. But we've got all kinds of other stuff and giveaways. If you want a Blue Monday t-shirt like Ben and Dave, by the way, 20% off in the merch store as well. All kinds of stuff going on at the moment. But yeah, we'll have giveaways. I think we might have one. Nice. Getting the guns out. More surprises on the night, I'm sure. And also, if you don't want to head back into Ipswich, we know there was a bit of a time lag last time and that wasn't for everyone's taste. The club have been really generous and let us hang out at BT's as long as we want. That's the word of the week, isn't it? So, and they'll have Portman pies and all sorts. So come and join us for a beer in the Greyhound beforehand. Our mate Gab Sutton's coming down for the game as well, so he'll be around for that. Enjoy the game, top of the table clash, 1-1 draw, and then join us in BT's, and then 7:30 start for Blue Monday Live. And yeah, tickets are available right up until the day, so unless they sell out, which you never know. So avoid disappointment about your tickets now. But yeah, all very exciting, and need to give a shout out to Innovation Labs as well. Our partner for the flagship show and all that stuff. That's fine. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. That's fine. No, that's all right. It's all good. We know Pete. I'm sure Pete loves AI Center of Excellence.
AI Center of Excellence.
We saw Mikey yesterday. He was in good form as well, Mikey, wasn't he? So yeah, I think usual
in his training top. He
did look classy in his training top, didn't he? So, yeah, I think I've done. I think any questions, just tweet us. I think. Or
are you going to stay on for the Wolves chat then, Rich?
I'll do some Wolves chat. Yeah.
Joe, did you want to sing the word that's the premium code?
Massimo.
Can we get the riff in? Do you think? Yeah. Do you think?
I think it should start with Ben and go through the screen.
It's just got disaster written on. Can we
No.
just blame kind of internet time lag? So, Rich and Seb will deal with Huddersfield. Can I just ask a question to the chat here quickly? Would you rather face Huddersfield with Neil Warnock managing them or Darren Moore? Just get your answers in the chat there. I think I know where it's going to go, but interested to see. Obviously, Huddersfield go to Coventry tomorrow night, and good old Darren Moore is back in. But yeah, get your answers in there, and I'll flash a few up. Joe, Wolves aren't very good by Premier League terms, but they're obviously better than us. Loads of people are asking about Tuan Zabi and Walton and Morsey. What's the approach for Wolves?
I think we go with what we've done in the previous rounds, really, where you make the 10 changes, 10, 11 changes, because you just want to keep going with the league form, and that the way you keep your big squad happy is by giving them these games. And once you stop doing that, it makes it very difficult to keep those players happy, keep those players fit, keep those players biting at the heels of the first team. So I would be saying the only thing is you've got Morsey's suspension to deal with here now. So maybe rather than sort of 10, 11 changes from yesterday's team for Tuesday, it becomes 10, 11 changes from Tuesday's team for Saturday, if that makes sense. So where you'd have probably played Jack Taylor on Tuesday, maybe you play Sam Morsey instead of Jack Taylor on Tuesday, so that Taylor is then left fit. And because it's not just playing the game on the Tuesday, it's the fact that on the Wednesday you then don't have a full training session, and with the first team as well there. So it's a difficult one, but I'd be looking to make 11 changes between the Wolves game and the Huddersfield game. What
do you think, Dave, that Tuesday night's going to look like?
Yeah, I think they'll go the same, and I tend to agree with Joe that it wouldn't be such a bad thing if we saw Morsey there and us protecting.
Is there not an argument, Dave, to give him, bearing in mind it's a 3-game week, the other end as well with Hull and Preston? Is there not an argument to give him a entirely clear run at that and give him
possibly, yeah. I mean, there's still, we've got a wealth of talent in there, a wealth of resources there, and we've obviously got Lee Evans there, Cam Humphreys can sit on ball, so we have got alternatives there. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if they made that switch and left Taylor out and Morsey played.
Sam Morsey was a youth player at Wolves, so maybe he'll want to. Well, I'm sure he'll want to play. I'm sure he wants to play every game, but he'll be in McKenna's.
Joe's bringing out the origin story here.
Testing himself.
But central midfield is, like Dave mentions, that is the position where we have got the bodies to not need to play him or Taylor, or Luongo. There is a good enough squad below that can play.
What do you think, Rich? And I don't know, but it's been fairly split. I reckon it's 60-40 would rather face Darren Moore, which is good because that's who we're going to face because Warnock's gone. But my point was I'd much rather face Darren Moore than Neil Warnock.
Yeah, totally agree. We'll talk about it more on Thursday, but I've always kind of been on the fence about Darren Moore. Certainly at Sheffield Wednesday, I didn't really feel like a fit. I thought his Doncaster team was really good, actually, weren't they? And his West Brom team was, tried to defy the odds, nearly did.
Rich, their last game was against us. They were rubbish, honestly, and they had really good players as well.
Yeah, I know, but they nearly stayed up, didn't they, in the Premier League? And that would have been a fairy tale story. But it's not the same, is it? And that Warnock effect is good for a few points, isn't it? And it's change as well. I'm not sure whether Darren Moore is going to play the same style. We know that he quite like possession, didn't he, at Doncaster? Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday a little bit more direct and physical, and it's just going to take time for that. Yeah, for his approach to land there, isn't it? So I think it's a good time to play them. We seem to be playing teams at good times at the moment. We talked about Cardiff haven't lost a game since we beat them, and they've on an amazing run. So we seem to be playing Southampton as well. Teams just at the right time.
The only unfortunate one was bloody Leeds, wasn't it?
Couldn't be the worst time to play Leeds. But I think in terms of Wolves as well, more imminently, I think there's a few players who we think are back in training, and Walton and Danassian might be one or two of those. So it might be interesting to see if Walton makes his return as well, puts the pressure a little bit more on Hladky. And obviously Freddie Ladapo is probably going to be the forward, isn't he? Because Scarlett's cup tied. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
Carrying an injury, isn't he?
And Jackson's injured, yeah.
I mean, I think as the difference this season is whatever side we put out is going to be a competitive side, isn't it? It's going to be a competitive side, and it's going to be a reasonably experienced side as well. Do
you reckon Wolves will look at it as an opportunity for progression in the competition, though, Dave? I guess if you're a Premier League team who, I know Wolves might struggle this season, but if you're a team that is looking, is not going to do much in the league, and you're a Premier League team, you'd be looking for a Carling Cup semi-final, wouldn't you? I wonder whether they might take it seriously.
I don't think teams like that care. I just
think
they just do what they want to do until they if they got into the quarterfinals, maybe at that point they might think,
then Man City, Liverpool, Man United are still going to win it, aren't they?
Yeah, at this stage of the tournament, you just play the team you want to play for your reasons, and then if you end up in a decent position, you maybe readjust at that point.
It feels like they're in like a reset year with their FFP bottom line, and they just got to get to the end of the season in 17th, get one good year of accounts in, and build back. So I'm not sure they're going to care, but like if Joe's saying which I tend to agree with, there's going to be double-digit number of changes, then they should have enough to beat us. But if we beat Huddersfield on Saturday, no one's going to care about that, Dave.
Just great you get a Premier League team there under the Portman Road lights, isn't it? Crikey, we've had starved of success, but I can remember in the dim and distant past the resounding 2-0 win over a fairly weak Man United side. I can remember that. Yeah. So it would just be nice to get like I said,
Raymond van der Houw, Jordi Cruyff. I think Paul Scholes might have come on.
I think so.
He came on, didn't he? I don't know whether he. Don't know whether he started, but
And on the flip side of the Man United spectrum, I think the anniversary of that 4-0, was it 3-0 defeat in the League Cup when Mick rotated the whole team at Old Trafford? That was
Tommy Orr.
There's an anniversary of that a few weeks ago, wasn't it? Malarchik and
Peter Malarchik.
Oh, that was
Josh Yorworth
last week. Josh Yorworth.
Josh Yorworth. Crawley's finest.
Did they not start with Rooney and Martial? He might have done.
De Gea in goal.
I think we knew the writing was on the wall when we saw our lineup.
Wayne Rooney.
Rooney and Martial. Okay, right,
dear. Guys, I think that'll just about do us. Rich, are we going to do anything for the Wolves game, or just wait for the preview show?
We'll wait for we haven't got anything midweek, I think, but we'll wait. We'll chat about it on Thursday, definitely. And in the meantime, if anyone's got any ideas of what we might put out on Tuesday, then let us know.
Joe's going to do. We just do a video of Joe saying the word lash in different ways, and
lash and knobber.
See if anyone can make a song out of my different pictures of the word six earlier in the show. And
I'm going to put that on TikTok, by the way.
Oh, don't. Norwich fans will brutalise me, won't they? Oh, dear me.
Revolution number 6.
Yeah, right. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Hit thumbs up before you go. Thank you for everybody listening on delay. As you can see, we're having a lovely old time doing this, and we're going to damn well enjoy it. Is it interesting that not many people tweeted me when we were losing for 10 years? I get a lot of narky tweets now, which is quite fun, let's just say. Last word from you, Joe. Might be Massimo, I don't know, but last word from you.
No, I've done my quota of Massimo for today, so I'll just say aha, nice.
But Joe, David Diamond's going to be at Blue Monday Live on October the 7th. Promo code Massimo.
I'm going to be at Blue Monday Live. I'm making my away debut next Saturday at Huddersfield. First trip for me to Huddersfield, so away debut. So any of the guys listening up there, tell us where
Shady's brother's wedding,
and I will.
I'm out.
I'll try to get along somewhere for a bit, although it'll only be the one because I'm driving. And looks like I might be picking up, because of the train situation, Mikey Penty-Smith and his pal on the way, potentially.
He's mugged you off there.
Right, get a pair of earphones and just play like rain noise into your ears all journey and just ignore him, yeah?
Last time I went to Huddersfield, I saw Mullet pre-match for a pint. I think it was by the train station with the Harold Wilson. Is it Harold Wilson statue at the train station?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a nice little ale bar there.
Oh, okay.
Just a bit of a plug as well. Dave's on Naked Footy midweek as well with GB.
Oh, awesome!
I am.
Just a reminder, Dave, if you'd forgotten.
No, I hadn't forgotten.
That'll be a lucid conversation.
And you're doing something as well.
I'm on with Gab as well. Yeah, so we're moonlighting. Shameless.
Brilliant.
Absolutely shameless.
Brilliant stuff. Last word from you, Richard. Can it be something about Luke Chambers, maybe?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, we've got Harry Clark's fist pump, haven't we? Maybe we'll get Chamber to do one for old time's sake. If we get enough people, we'll do it. We'll recreate that one. But yeah, join us, get involved. Lots of links everywhere. Apologies, we're going to talk about this a lot for the next few weeks, but we're really excited about it. So hopefully people will join us. And yeah, Chamber, what a cracking guest he'll be. So, and again, yeah, good shout out to Milts and Matt Holland who helped us out with it as well. So thank you to them too.
Unbelievable scene. 7 wins out of 8. We just have to be Birmingham or Millwall to make the playoffs now. Unbelievable stuff. We're absolutely loving it. We hope you're loving it too. I'm not going to press the outro. I'm going to press the promo for Blue Monday Live, October the 7th after the Preston game. Luke Chambers, live and in the fresh. Come and join us. I will be this hyper and won't need a microphone. Thank you, everybody.